Hello, and welcome to the Autodesk Buzzsaw training series for Marriott International. My name is Kyle Robb. I'm the Buzzsaw site administrator for Marriott, and I'll be the one walking through this series with you guys. During this series, we're going to cover setting up an account, renewing an expired account, updating your project access, navigating design standards, navigating project folders, tips and tricks for using the site, as well as related applications. In this specific set today, we're just going to cover any sort of access related questions, so new access, renewing access, as well as logging into the site. So a good place to start is why we even have Buzzsaw. So the reason we have Buzzsaw is Marriott needed to come up with a way to share design standards and collaborate on projects that you didn't have to be a Marriott associate to be able to access it. So Buzzsaw was the solution that we came up with for this, and to direct people to get on the site, so to set up a new account or to renew an account or to update their access, we direct people to project.marriott.com, which is what we're looking at right now. Projects is singular, so just project.marriott.com. And so when you get there, you'll see this page, and the three icons that we're going to be concerned with here today are the new user, the renew expired, and the update existing. So the new user, we have these nice little tutorials underneath of each icon. So new user has never had a Marriott ANC Buzzsaw account. Renew expired, if you need to reinstate an old Marriott ANC Buzzsaw account. This comes into play if you have not logged into the site for 3 months. And then update existing. So if you get added to a renovation project or a new build or conversion project, this is where you would go to request that be added to your access. So let me walk you through each of the forms here, and just to pause here, if at any point you do have a question, we have the contact information on most of these pages throughout the Buzzsaw application as well as on project.marriott.com. So here we have the new user form. So whenever you click on any of those icons, it'll take you to the terms and conditions, and you're going to read through them, and you either accept them to continue to the form or you don't, and you'd be kicked out back to that original page that we were dropped on. So let's continue to the form, and in the form, to make sure we get all your information, the top section is kind of related to your contact information, your company information, just making sure we get all the necessary contact info for getting you set up, or if we have any questions. And then if you were to change companies, since you'd have your own account, you could just change this information, and then we'd update your information and still be able to contact you. That said, we'll move on to the bottom half, which is really the access related information. So if you have a Marriott ID, then you'd select yes, you'd put it here. If not, it's not a big deal. So then also the design standards you might need access to. This is where you're able to select those off. So let's say I'm working on a Fairfield Inn, check that off. And then, okay, are you working on a specific project? So if we said yes, the name of the project as well as the project number. If you don't know these, that's okay. We have a comments section where you can put in as much information as you have available, just to try to help to direct the administrator to setting you up properly. And also, if is the owner with whom you are working. So for this section, it's a drop-down list, and it goes alphabetically after the original Marriott folks. And if for whatever reason your company is not listed in that list, or the ownership group you're working with is not listed in that list, then feel free to put it again in the comments section, just saying, hey, the ownership group is such and such a company, I didn't find them in the list, let me know. Then the administrator, if they have any questions, will reach out to you, but that's really the way we kind of make up for that, just in case the ownership group isn't already there. So if you hit submit, what happens is Your application then goes to it notifies the administrator saying, hey, such and such a person has filled out an application. The administrator then goes in, reviews all the information you provided. They'll either go forward and set up your account, or if they have any questions, they'll contact you and get those sorted out. Then they'll set up your account and they'll send you a welcome email, and in that email you're going to have a link to set your password and log in, as well as the basic credentials. So that being, the site name is going to be Marriott, and your username is generally your first name and last name. But we'll get into those a little bit more during the login process here in a moment. But let's go back here to just the other forms right quick. So back to project.marriott.com. If I went through renew expired, same terms and conditions, I move forward to the enrollment form, and it's a dulled down version of that new user form. So it's really just what's your name and your email, and then any projects or design standards you need access to. And you'd hit submit, or if you had questions, here's the contact information again. Go back here. So renew access. If your account expires and you can't log in after 3 months without logging into the site, this is where you go for that. Update existing. So you're added to a project, you need to add it to your access. Click on it, terms and conditions, move forward. Really the same looking form as the renew access form, but it just makes it a little easier on the administrator when you fill out the proper form, because then they can say, okay, I know I need to add this person to a project, or okay, I know I need to enable this person's account if it's the renew access form. So once you get that welcome email saying you've been set up, you're going to go and look to log in. Now, when you're logging in, there's two options for ways you can access Buzzsaw. You can either access it in a web browser, so like in an Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, something like that. And it looks like this is kind of your launch page, or you can access it in a thick client. And so the thick client here is not tied to a web browser. It's its own individual application. It kind of has this gray box-like look to it. It has a little Autodesk green bee is going to be the icon for it. This is what the login page looks like for that. This is where I'll focus most of my time, because we find that users find the thick client most easy to navigate, as well as just general usability of it. It's a lot more sensible and less clunky than what the web-based version is. And just a note here, you can only use this thick client if you are not using a Mac machine. You have to have a PC. If you're using a Mac machine, you are confined to only using the web-based version. So let's go back to that web-based version just to start us off here. So when you're looking to sign in, after you've set up your password in that original welcome email, the site name is always going to be Marriott. Your username is generally your first name, a space, and then your last name, and then neither the site nor the username are case sensitive. And then the password is, in case you cannot remember it, or you've not selected this save password option in the past, the password has always got to be at least 8 characters, have at least 1 uppercase, and at least 1 number. And if for whatever reason you still can't remember it after that, you just go back to project.marriott.com, submit a renew expired. The administrator would reset your password and send you a link so that you can set it on your own. So let's go forward with getting into the site here. So sign in. And here we have, it's dropping us slowly onto the launch page for the web-based version of Buzzsaw. And I'll do the same thing for the thick client, and which, by the way, if you want to download this thick client, within that welcome email we also provide a second link for www.getbuzzsaw.com. That's where you would go to download this application. So if once you have that downloaded, you've set your password, you've kind of got all your credentials, and you're looking to log into the Thick client for the first time. So again, you have your site name, projectpoint.buzzsaw.com/Marriott. If you're ever, you don't remember this, or you didn't hit remember this password in a previous time, you can just type in Marriott there and you should be okay. Your username, first name, space, last name, the password. And then I always recommend these remember passwords so that you don't have to keep so much tabs on it. And then we hit OK, and what happens with the Thick client the first time that you log in with a particular account on a computer, it's setting up a reference folder, and it may look like it's failing, like right here. I'm seeing no projects, I've got nothing over here, the login option looks to still be showing, I've got the spinny wheel, doesn't look to be a lot going on. So what's happening the first time you log into this Thick client is it's setting up a reference folder, basically going through Marriott's site, which is the largest in terms of size of information on the site, the largest Autodesk has. So it's going through Marriott's site and saying what you do and do not have access to. So it's setting up that reference folder so that for future logins it'll be pretty quick. But for that first login, because it needs to set up that reference folder, it might take 5 or 10 minutes. The good thing is, so as you hit login, you can still go and look at email, you can get back on the web, you can do whatever it is that you may need to do. Just let the Thick client run its process in the background. Now while we let that one log in, let me go back to the web-based version. So in the web-based version, if let's say this is how you logged in, or people are sending you links to Buzzsaw and it keeps directing you here, and you'd rather it default to opening in that Thick client version, there is an option in the top right over here, like Buzzsaw Web Access, make your default. So if you click on this make your default option here, if you're in the web-based version, this is going to give you the option to set your default for how you want to access Buzzsaw in the Windows application, which is the other one that's logging in right now, or the web access, which is the page we're on right now. I personally have it set to the Windows application. And then if you were to need to sign out, you'd go to your username in the top right, you'd hit sign out. But just to go through with you once more here, so when you know you're in the web-based version, if you have these blue folders over here, and you're in a web browser. So let's go check on this Thick client. Alright, so it logged in for us, and as you may notice, it looks pretty similar to what you have in the web-based version. So I'm using the exact same accounts with the exact same credentials. So really the access I have is the same no matter where I am, it's just how I prefer to use it. So as we see here, on the right side we have this HTML looking page with some common links, and then same thing in the web-based version, the HTML page with some common links. Then we have a folder structure, the blue folders. Whereas if you're in the Thick client, if I hit this little plus sign next to the Marriott, I get those folders again, and they're orange. So this is how you know you're in the Thick client. You've got the orange folders here, and that's really the simplest way to tell the two apart. So logging in, access related questions, that's what we covered here today. If you have any further questions, my contact information is in the description for this video. And then in the future sessions that we're going to cover navigating these design standards, navigating your project folders, and then just kind of general tips and tricks for using the site as well as other applications. So I thank you for joining me today. Again, my name is Kyle Robb, and I look forward to having you join again next time.